Yes, Tbull here. Today, going to be breaking down the Pan-Asian destroyers that are launching today. Been researching them on the PC. Recording this the night before, so I'm going based on the research I've seen there and what information's available for our game. First, we'll look at the commanders here. Ding Dewey, the generic commander. We call the generic commanders Deweys in this game. Now, the generics can usually have pretty good destroyer builds, so it is an interesting option. And of course, we do have at least one cruiser, potentially two. I would guess probably up to level 2 cruisers, but for sure we get the tier 1. And maybe you want to put him on the cruiser and have a cruiser build there. So keep him in mind. The two specific destroyer commanders that are being added here. Sa Zhengbing. First guy looks like more of a gun build in terms of the perks. Base trait, this was mislabeled in the patch notes. It said in the patch notes it was just changing the ricochet angle of your ship's AP shells. Now it's been changed to destroyer, so it's more specific to destroyer, which is pretty good because it's a very strong boost. And we thought that was going to usher in an age of AP shell terrorism on battleships and cruisers. But here on destroyers, we'll have to see how this Pan-Asian line pans out here, no pun intended. But each of the ships are kind of bought from other nations, so there's no real national character from what I can tell, at least on the PC version. So each ship is going to have a little bit different playstyle. So maybe some of them a little bit more gun focused. We want to put Zen Bing on there. But the base trait, AP ricochet angles, potentially a good inspiration on maybe Germans. You can consider Americans or something. Any destroyer that using a lot of AP on potentially could be interesting. Makes it harder for the ships that you're shooting the AP shells at to defend themselves by armor angling. The one I'm planning on speccing more heavily right out of the gate, Deng Xi Chang here, more of a torpedo focus, and his base trait's a little bit more interesting. Detectability of destroyers, negative 3%, torpedo damage plus 3% when it's maxed. Okay, so potentially now we can enter an era of triple concealment builds on the Asians, Germans, and the Europeans. If you have Swirsky, Bay, and Xi Chang, you know, you use their base trait on there and then double the concealment with the other two inspirations. This one also adds a little bit more torpedo damage. So not quite as strong in terms of concealment as Swirsky, but extra torpedo damage. Note both of these new destroyer commanders have a slot 4 perk. The patch notes once again said it was slot 3. That was erroneous, which is good because we like slot 3 to get our radiolocator perks involved, personally at least. But Knuckle Duster, increase damage to enemy ship engines and rudders by up to 40% and reduce the detection of your torps by 100 meters, up to 100 meters. But we're reducing some damage trade-off up to 10% when max. So interesting there. Now what's going on? We'll talk about the torps in a little bit here, but I'll read you the blurb on the PC WoW's wiki page about the destroyers. None of the various units that comprise the Pan-Asian destroyer branch originated in the countries whose flags they fly on World of Warships. Every single hull was purchased from a foreign navy prior to seeing service in their respective Asian navies. Okay, so we're going to see numerous different ships. Like we got the Longjiangs coming from the German Navy. The Pra, Ruang, and Gajamata originated from the Royal Navy, the UK branch. Shenyang, IJN, Japanese destroyer, and Fushun, Russian origins. Okay, and then it says the US Navy hulls comprise ships towards the higher end of the spectrum. Perhaps our Tier 7 Shenyang, or perhaps even later we'll see those type of ships in the legendary tier further down the line. Starting with the Gajamata, Tier 6, we're going to have radars on there, or I'm not 100% sure, I guess we'll see today, if you can swap the radar for the smoke, or if you just don't have the smoke available and it's always radar. Some of you guys were saying it looked like it was the ability to swap it. On the patch notes, it implied that it was just automatically the radar. So that's always interesting, putting the radars on destroyers. And we need to take a look at the deep water torpedoes, which are going to be kind of the new unique mechanic of this line. How does this work? Well, we'll read the wiki page. Deep water torpedoes are a special type of torpedo that are restricted in the types of targets they can hit. Okay, so in our game, they're going to be able to hit cruisers, battleships, and aircraft carriers. They cannot hit destroyers. They're going deeper in the water, so conceptually they would be sailing right under the destroyer, unable to hit them. In trade, all right, they have very low detection in the water, and note that that knuckle duster was further playing with the detection of the torps. And if you have A.L. Otago, the special event commander, that also is a base trait, can reduce the detection of the torps. So if you want to go all in, which is probably going to be a viable build that we'll be taking a look at, you might want to be mixing the knuckle duster, the A.L. Otago, and then using the deep water torps. But keep in mind, we're not going to be able to hit the destroyers with them. And it also says that these torpedoes are going to be more prone to cause floods and cause engine damage and stuff like that. So very potent torps, and we'll probably see how fast they go, how hard they hit. Might vary based on which nation that the destroyers are originating from. We'll have to see once we do a deep dive on the ships themselves, but very interesting. So different mechanic, how we're going to be dealing with these destroyers. We got radars at the tier 6 and tier 7, but we're not going to be able to hit them with the torps. We're going to definitely need to be focusing on firing the guns when we're trying to deal with those as well. And just giving a quick rundown on the ships. Now, listed on their website, they got Cheyenne as the tier 1 cruiser, and then it's got a line that goes horizontally to where the second cruiser would be. We'll find out this morning whether we have to grind out the tier 2 cruiser or not, but it also kind of takes a 90-degree turn upward into the destroyer branch, and then it goes with the Pra, Ruang tier 2, Shenyang tier 3, tier 4 Jianwei, tier 5 Fushun, tier 6 Gajimata, and tier 7 Xianyang. So that's kind of the look at the line here. I want to get some feedback from you guys. Some of you guys are home today playing the game. Give me your early impressions, or if you've been playing on the PC, give us some tips that you got for this line. But I think it's going to be a nice, unique kind of change to the destroyer meta. They're still going to be responsible for doing the same jobs that they're traditionally going to be doing, but dealing with destroyers, a little bit different approach, and potentially how we're attacking bases or playing the game in general. The strategy might be changing when it comes to that. So let us know in the comments what you're thinking. I want to get as much information as we can here so everybody can get a good jump start on this line. And I suppose that should do it. So if you did enjoy this video, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. Questions, comments, leave them below. Love to hear from you guys, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.